In part one of Skywatcher, you heard a lot of very believable people making truly unbelievable claims. Skywatcher's objective is to use the scientific method to validate or invalidate these claims and hopefully usher in a new understanding of reality. For Skywatcher Part 2, our focus is on data. In this episode, you will meet James Fowler. James runs the technology team here at Skywatcher, and over the past few years, he has put together what I consider to be, by far, the highest quality private repository of UAP data in the world. For the first time, James has agreed to be interviewed on camera, and we will be releasing the data that he's collected over the past many years. So we're out here in the desert, running our second Skywatcher event of the year. As you've heard about, we're focused on two different types of UAP calling. We have machine calling, and we have psionic calling. We've had success with both of these different types. But over the past few days, on the machine calling side, we've witnessed a lot of spectacular things. Every time we have an event, we have things happen that I truly cannot explain. We and the rest of our team are doing our very best to collect a robust set of data to share with all of you. But I hope you can understand that it's not as easy as it sounds. We're talking about objects that seemingly are able to appear and disappear in real time. We're talking about objects that seem to evade our sensors. They seem to actually turn our sensors off at times. And I can say firsthand that crazy shit keeps happening. I consider myself to be a very logical, rational person. This rabbit hole, the rabbit hole of UAPs and consciousness, has been hands down the craziest experience of my life.
So today we had a class 7 come in about 3,000 feet, 135-degree heading. It was pretty low to the ground. We saw it visually, their eyes. We had it on radar as well.
We've been collecting UAP data for more than 5 years with electromechanical signaling, which we call our dog whistle. Generally speaking, we see 3 to 5 different classes of UAP per day during operations. After we turn on the dog whistle, UAPs literally come to us day after day. To make sense of our data, we had to define a lexicon, and we based it on flight characteristics. We've broken the UAPs down into 9 classes or types. Some of these classes may be the same UAP under different flight configurations, but at this point, given their behavior, we're confident they don't align with conventional or terrestrial explanations. Each UAP class has different characteristics. Some shimmer, some tumble, some spin. Some look like they're alive and they just fly like a living object in the sky. UAPs are extremely hard to image. What is seen with the naked eye is generally not what is seen under camera. The class 1 often spins, tumbles through the sky. Craft looks like a black body. It appears to flash, pulse multiple times per second. There appears to be some kind of cloud or vapor around it. We've seen class 1s in formations up to 22, 23, flying in different flight formations, different flock formations. The class 2 is the classic tic-tac. We've seen it in groups of 2 to 3, often flying very erratically. We've seen these a couple years in a row, and usually we see them in groups. The class 3, the blob, a pulsing, vibrating cloud. There's something, maybe perhaps a cylinder kind of in the middle that has a different light like a flame, and then it vibrates and pulses as it moves through space. The class 4 is your orb. We've only seen it in infrared. The class 4 seems to only come during certain activities in conjunction with perhaps the class 1. We don't have enough data yet to confirm. The class 5 we call the manta ray. It seems to tumble and rotate as it moves through the sky. Class 6 is bright star. That one vibrates very, very fast. It literally looks like a crystal in the sky. The class 7 is the jellyfish. It's probably about 2 meters across. The head is purple and black in color, and then it has tentacles. The class 8 we call the hornet. It looks very similar to the class 7, the jellyfish, except for it's bigger, and it's almost like a jellyfish carrying something. And then the class 9 is the egg. The class 9 isn't something we have a lot of data on. It's very limited. We have it as Skywatcher during our California event. It's an emerging class, and we have strong evidence that it probably exists, but we don't have data to concisely describe it.
We have our sensor team up on the hill, actively collecting data. We have our psionic team actively operating both day and night, and we have 2 helicopters on standby, ready to be deployed.
Yeah, so the nice thing about having helicopters available out here as opposed to drones or airplanes is essentially helicopters can hover for hours at a time, and we can put people on board. You know, our drones are limited in altitude and also in just time on station because of their battery life. We like using the helicopters. We can put multiple people in the helicopter, put the number of observation equipment, cameras, etc. So it's a really useful platform for us. Oh, the sun is to the east right now. We got that little bit of shading right there on the lower left of the target.
Yep.
Which, if that's actual shading, that means the sun's coming from this angle.
Mm-hmm.
So the usual question I get is, where's the evidence? Where's the data? In science, just having data doesn't mean anything. So the reason there is a scientific process is because it works and it's replicable. And it's a standard upon which all science is accomplished. So by doing and using those kinds of approaches here at Skywatcher, we're going to be able to collect the data, get it peer reviewed, not because the peer review tells you that the conclusion is right, but because that allows others to look at what it is that you did and determine whether or not you did it right. So that hasn't been done anywhere yet. It's been done in bits and pieces here or there, but this is now a comprehensive framework for accomplishing the goal.
My name is Marek von Riddenkamp, and I have been covering the UFO or UAP topic for The Hill on the opinion side for about 4 years now. I am excited to have a discussion today with James Fowler, who leads the technology side of Skywatcher and has collected some very, very interesting data that we are going to be taking a closer look at today. James, thank you so much for joining me.
Happy to be here. So we stumbled into this pretty much face planted right into this topic. We didn't want this topic to come into our lives. I'm not a ufologist. I don't believe. I'm not Fox Mulder. I have no faith in UFO, UAP stuff. I have no belief in off-planet anything. Frankly, we follow the data, and the data we have indicates that there's probably 3 buckets. There's probably a blue bucket, American-made. There's probably a red bucket, made in China. And there's probably another bucket, which I don't know where that bucket comes from. This isn't a spiritual activity for us. This isn't emotional. This is strictly facts and data driven. And we've tried very hard to keep it that way.
So how did you end up out here in undisclosed location in the desert, looking up at the sky and looking for UAP?
Well, after my career, I started several companies and started running different projects for the government as a subcontractor. And through those activities, we started noting anomalies. And one thing led to another. Now we have what we believe is compelling data on UAPs.
Is there anything else that, at a high level, that really stood out to you that you have observed, you and your team have observed out in the field?
Yeah, sure. So the Class 3 is very spectacular. We've seen the Class 3 as soon as yesterday. We didn't see any today, just Class 7s. But the Class 3 looks like a blob. Looks like a Pepto-Bismol colored blob in the sky. I don't even know how else to say it. It pulses and vibrates, and I don't know what that means. I don't know why we're seeing that, but it's definitely in the sky, and we believe we're able to dog whistle the UAPs to our location. And when we do, we get different observations, and the Class 3 is quite spectacular.
So, James, could you explain just a little, go into maybe a little bit more depth on this dog whistle, this apparent capability or technological element that potentially appears to attract UAP?
We have turned on our equipment that we've customized and created what we believe is a dog whistle, and UAPs show up. So through that process, we started a systematic cause and effect, if you will, experimentation. And we've arrived at some very custom capabilities that when we deploy these capabilities, we get different UAP responses. Every time we turn on this equipment and do the things we need to do for the right amount of time, we get a response every time. And we've also experimented with not using the equipment and seeing if we see things, and we have not, which is interesting because all of our data has been daytime. We have no data from night. None of our data are lights in the sky that you have to squint your eyes and put your finger on your nose and hope you see what you want to see. No, our data is broad daylight, often well lit like this, maybe in a desert, data that's very viewable. We've had over 300 sorties now of UAP incursions into our airspace where we're working.
Can I quickly interrupt a sortie just for the benefit of the audience? That's an individual flight over that you tracked with your sensors. Is that accurate?
Yeah, so I call a sortie when we have an observation of a class of UAP moving through our airspace. That class might be in a flock. We've seen flocks of up to 20 plus. And we also have singletons that move through. Like today we had 2 class 7s move through. So each one by itself would be a sortie. So we've seen hundreds of UAPs. Perhaps we're running an event and we have 200 sorties in a day. We don't know if that's one aircraft seeing 109 times more, or if that's 200 separate airframes or aircraft or UAPs or whatever they are moving through our airspace separately. So we just call it a sortie and accept what we don't know, and accept that, hey, as an observation from a technology perspective and science perspective, this is one set of data.
So I'd like to maybe turn now to and acknowledge the skeptics out there. It's good to be skeptical. You want to be skeptical. And we learned quite a bit from the New Jersey incidents that a lot of what people were seeing were just normal planes in the sky, right? If you turn on the news, almost all the footage was commercial airliners. We know that, right? Anybody who's seen a commercial or knows what they're looking at can say that. When you're doing your analyses or you're tracking an object live, are you accounting for wind? Are you accounting for, let's start with wind.
So yes, we do look at the wind. We don't look that hard at it. A lot of these objects are moving faster than the wind. A lot of them will do maneuvers such as the tic-tacs. We see them come straight down as if from space, tumbling and spinning, at Mach 2+. It's important to note that all of the classes, every single one of them, we have characteristics that are unexplainable with current human technology and our current understanding of nature. So it just so happens that to track hypersonics, to track stealth, to track drones in non-ideal conditions or aircraft in non-ideal conditions is the same technology you need to track UAPs. By building the system net new and calling it Skywatcher, that's what we've done. We've architected, designed, and are building and soon integrating this next generation technology. So we're actively working with and seeking more third-party, non-ufologists, physicists, scientists, academia. We want them to come and analyze our data and produce third-party independent analysis.
And to be clear, James, these individuals would be privy to the sensitive data that you're discussing.
They would get full access to our data. It would just be in a controlled environment where they don't take all the data with them. They just produce the report and anything redacted for release.
That is an insightful and I think a very important element to highlight here. And I'd like to turn this into a public service announcement that anybody watching who may be an expert, an academic, who has an interest in this topic now after watching this, to reach out to Skywatcher and to, if you have the bandwidth and ability, to lend your services. I know the team would very much appreciate that and respect that, and I think an objective third-party analysis would really move the discussion forward.
An operation like this, I think, is a pretty unique operation. It's giving us the opportunity, one, to collect data on this phenomenon, the reality of this phenomenon. It's also giving us the opportunity to test out some theories as well. I would say the most significant encounter that I've had here was probably interacting with the jellyfish.
Every day, we've identified some form of jellyfish UAP that seems to be attracted to our machine calling system. Every day, the jellyfish has gotten pretty close to the radar, and yesterday, it was so close that the team there could actually see it with their naked eye.
It looked like a cylinder, but when we got under some power with magnification, it looked more like a class 7 or jellyfish. Typically being super, super bright and reflective,
and whatever was hanging off the bottom of it was, not really easy to see, but you can see that there was something floating beneath it.
135 heading, class 7, northeast.
It's a game of chess, right? They're actually probing us to validate our capabilities. If this is an advanced species and is smart enough to do what it's doing, they have the upper hand, and we are the little ants under the magnifying glass.
We had a Class 7 UAP. We went ahead and launched the helo to pursue it. Before the helo got here, it actually came and hovered right over us. For the first time, we saw a Class 7 with the naked eye. It was very glinty, looked metallic. Through our optics, we've always thought it was purple or black. Frankly, the reflections look like chrome almost color.
Looking to the east, Check heading around 68 degrees.
It's probably 4,000 feet above us, about maybe 1 kilometer out, horizontal distance above the ground. And it looked like 8 meters total in distance from top to bottom. The top will look like a mushroom, like a big jellyfish. It was very, very, very bright white and vibrating and flashing, like pulsing. There was like 3 flashing panels, like equal distance going down it. I've seen some the last couple of days through a sensor. So I'd seen them before, so it wasn't like awe-shocking, but it was, kind of taking back to be like, oh wow, really am seeing one, with my actual visual eyes, right here, right above me at 4,000 feet. It looked like a jumper under canopy at 4,000 feet, which is the same distance when they pull. So that part is crazy. Then I knew I'm not seeing stuff, there it is. It's the same thing that I've been seeing on sensor. And all the characteristics, were consistent with what a Class 7 should look like.
The Class 7 is a jellyfish. It's not the jellyfish you've seen on TV. It's a different jellyfish. We think the head of the jellyfish is about 2 meters in size. We think the tentacles hanging down are about 3 to 5 meters in size, varying and depending on which one you're looking at. You can see these stills are taken from different jellyfish. You can see this jellyfish, the tentacles look very, very long. On this one, they look shorter compared to the head. As you can see, the nodules on the tentacles light up. And again, this light appears to us to go from head to tail and pulse and light up the nodules as it goes. Also, sometimes it looks like an automaton or something with like an alien movie where it's got like the tail kind of hanging out, like it's seeking something. And sometimes it looks like it's a jellyfish in the sky. It seems to undulate as it moves. We have seen these take direct flight paths. Even yesterday, for the first time, we had 2 in formation. We've never seen that before. We chased down one of those 2, and it deviated its flight path as we approximated, and then it elevated directly straight up, as in directly vertical. So the Class 7 is very hard to image, and at distance, it looks very similar to the Class 6 and also the Class 8 at distance. So what you're gonna see is it's kind of, I'll call it swimming in through the sky. There aren't a lot of exotic colors. There is reflectivity. But that color you see right there is very akin to the Class 6 when it's not emitting high energy or whatever it's doing. So when it's not vibrating. So we don't know what that means. And you can kind of start to see now the tentacles hanging down as it moves. In IR, they're very obvious. They're less obvious in EO. So we have multiple indications that this is a real object, that is not man-made, and that it is flying through our airspace and does want to avoid us.
At the end of day 2, our psionic team made a bold prediction. That the next day, we would see an interaction between 2 different types of UAPs in the sky.
The Class 7s, we believe, are aggressive. They appear to want to encroach on us and get over us. The Class 5 we saw yesterday seemed to put itself between us and the Class 7, and the Class 7 then egressed to the north and the east. Let's do like an 11:10 startup. How long can you idle on the ground?
Yeah.
Like 20 minutes?
Yeah.
Done.
On day 3, around noon, our radar started to detect a Class 2 Tic Tac.
We had our SIs who had just finished doing their thing, and one of them had brought up the fact that something was going to come from a very specific direction. He had a really good feeling about a specific location.
There have been multiple instances of the psionic team predicting when the machine calling and the radar team will actually sense an object.
The Class 2 is the classic tic-tac. We have had laser rangefinder returns on them to give us distance. And through that method and the optical zoom, we are able to measure. We think they're about 40 feet in length, and they appear to be traveling supersonic and hypersonic. A very interesting thing, which you'll see in the videos, is when we do see them, they're at the edge of our sensor capabilities. You'll see like there's striations around these stills, and sometimes it almost looks like it bends, almost like it's not a solid mass. So when it's spinning, when it comes out of the spin, for a second, it looks like part of it, like probably a third of it, is bendable and it bends.
And at this point, is it dropping rapidly?
Yes, the only thing that's changing is the angle that we're looking at it with.
The elevation angle, is that right?
Yes, and we're moving in a downward fashion. The system operator is having a very hard time keeping in frame because it's falling so fast.
Dropping fast.
So you can't zoom in, and our servos don't move that fast, so our equipment can't handle that zoom factor with the speed. You'll see multiple UAPs in these, and as in they're flying together. I don't know that they're in a formation. You know, if you go frame by frame, you can see their cylinders.
Wow.
So that's the Class 2.
Fascinating.
From the radar, approximately 5 kilometers out, 800 feet elevation.
We sent the helo out to intercept the Tic Tac, but the first attempt failed because our radar was being jammed by the Class 7 jellyfish.
Where were we in the sky the first time you saw that? That was when we were 7 kilometers or so out to the northwest, 340 at that spot that we went to.
And he kept trying to climb, and it wouldn't let us.
Our helicopter launched, and about a half mile out, the helicopter stopped moving. Engines running, blades are turning, but it would not go forward, it would not go up, it would not go left or right, it was stuck there.
So we're kind of, imagine like a blanket above us. It's like pressing us down.
So maybe we were in proximity to it. It was saying, don't come any higher.
Yeah, that's
because that was when I told you guys elevate, right? That's fascinating.
We were called out to intercept an object that was found on radar. We went to the location it was supposed to be at. We circled a couple times and were requested to climb another 1,000 feet. The instrumentation started to bounce and the collective basically was frozen. I've never experienced anything like that before. I've got over 4,000 hours of flight time, and this has never happened before.
So we don't know how they're jamming us. We don't know how they're turning our equipment off yet. Best guess would be a microwave signal. We're not seeing it on the frequencies we're using for our collection equipment.
Yeah, this is north, but it's not giving a reading at all. It's off.
Either it's moving supersonic out of here with noiselessly, or it's flipping a switch and now you see me, now you don't. And I kind of feel like it's the second one. So it's really looking interesting that we're seeing multiple classes, 3 classes today, 2, 5, and 7. We saw them all with binoculars and or the naked eye, which is really new for us. We've not had that experience in the last 5 years. And the fact that the Class 2 and Class 5 seem to be putting themselves between us and the jellyfish. We don't know what that means. We don't have enough data yet to say that conclusively. And I'm not quite sure how many times we have to see something like that till we understand that that's probably the case. Also interesting that the Class 5 and Class 2 took 3 or 4 days to show up. The Class 5 we call the manta ray. It looks to be like is written, a manta ray. It has round everywhere. I don't think there's anything straight or nearly straight. We actually went frame by frame on this because it was tumbling slowly and derived a 3D model of what we think it looks like. Here you can see it tumbling and spinning on multiple axes as it comes through the frame.
And you said this is going perpendicular to the wind and faster than the wind.
Yes, it was on radar, it was on imagery, multiple bands. And the interesting thing is the radar shows this vibrating as well, the same heartbeat signal, which is really a boost in our analysis because only UAPs appear to have the vertical and horizontal heartbeat. Manned aircraft, balloons, birds, drones, they don't. They have a flat line trajectory and also a flat line radar signature. So that's the Class 5.
Excellent.
After every event, it seems as though we leave with more questions than we do answers. Our mission in our investigation is truly just getting started. We're quickly learning, in fact, how many things that we still don't know.
Skywatcher will release full modules for each of the 9 UAP classes on YouTube and our website in the coming weeks. Please understand that this is a live operation unfolding in real time. We are doing our best to create a taxonomy of these objects based on the data we've collected, but we need your help.
Part 3 of Skywatcher is going to be about psionics. It's going to be about the team that we've assembled. You're going to hear from some of them directly. You'll hear about their experience, their background, and how they found themselves here alongside us today. And if we can validate the existence of these abilities completely and scientifically, then that information necessitates an entirely new concept of reality and our place in it as human beings.